Hello, Bum Time Podcast with Mike and Laurent. It is Tuesday, March 1st, or is it February 29th? I never know. In this episode, Carabao Cup is not crap. Who knew? Bielsa out, Marsch in. Americans in the Premier League, not good. Does anyone know what the fuck a handball is? But first, Mike, Abramovich said he has no ties to Putin, but somehow he's in Belarus negotiating on behalf of Ukraine. That's weird. What say you?
What? It's been an interesting week for the embattled Chelsea owner, right? We're actually going to have a guest on Thursday's show, Ollie Carpenter,
an expert.
and a resident expert in both Chelsea and the intersection of sport and politics.
And fascism.
Fascism. He runs Goalytics, so check them out on Twitter. But you'll hear a whole lot more from him on Thursday, or Friday, I should say, about that whole situation. It's interesting to find somebody like this because we're just, as famously once called, two idiots with a microphone. And it's going to be interesting to see him chat with us. And as I was sort of talking to him in our direct message conversation, I was like, explain this to me like I'm 5, right? So that's what we're going to get.
Yeah,
that's what we're going to give to all of our fans and all the listeners. So we're excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, we're a little lowbrow, we're a little highbrow, we're a little European history, we're a little bit
country, we're a little bit rock and roll.
But I really love the intersection of war and Abramovich and Chelsea and all this stuff. It's amazing. If I could be on the show, it would be all World War II references. But first, I'm going to do the scores. Here I go. Leeds 0-4 to Spurs. Harry Kane's pass was incredible. We say goodbye to Mr. Marcelo Bielsa. The Leeds fans love him. Was he good? I don't know. We have Newcastle beating Brentford at home 2-0. There was a red card in the first 10 minutes. VAR got him. But the good news, the positive news of that was the return of Christian Eriksen. Yay! Brighton, my beloved Brighton, are scared of going to their level. Aston Villa get back on the schneid, get off the schneid. They re-schneid. They're schneiding. They win 2-0. They're doing well. Ollie Watkins looking good. And, oh, my God, Watford 0-0 to Manchester United. This was a battering. Holy shit. Cristiano Ronaldo might be finished, but it's a 0-0 battering. But Watford, great and powerful Watford, took 4 points off Man United and got their coach fired. What? 1-1 Burnley. The Burnley renaissance continues. They stay unbeaten in their last 7, and Manchester City struggle in a 1-0 victory at Goodison Park. There was some controversy in this game, and the Sunday game, because we had the venerable Carabao Cup on Sunday, was West Ham 1, Wolves 0. This was another statement game. Wolves sliding. They're not as good. West Ham staying in the fight for the top 4. Woo! And that takes us to the Carabao Cup. What say you, Mike, on Carabao Cup?
I could not be more thrilled with the outcome.
It was fantastic.
I frankly, I am not a fan of either team, and that's putting it very diplomatically. I fucking hate both teams. I would obviously, if I had to choose between the two, gun to my head, I hate Chelsea far more.
Yeah. Local rivals.
Yeah. But I was like, whatever, man. I ended up watching. I didn't watch the first half. I watched the second half and then extra time. And then of course the penalties. And Edouard Mendy for me was man of the match. Not close. He was unbelievable. Kelleher was good too, by the way. And the only other person who had a claim to it is the fourth official because he had his flag up so many times, right? So for me,
weirdly, it kind of should have been Mason Mount and Pulisic. Pulisic was creating chances early in the 10 role. I thought the attack from Chelsea was really very good.
Yeah, no, I mean, they've got 11
a lot of good play in
really good attacking players, so that shouldn't be surprising, right? But I want to get right to the storyline. Can I first guessed the shit out of that? Go ahead. Before I
have one thing, and I don't want to go down this path, but I think we really should. There were across football, across the league, a lot of really, really cool moments around the Ukrainian players playing around the league. You have Yarmolenko and Zinchenko and Menyenko. I don't think that's his name on Everton. Teams coming out with Ukrainian flags on, no war. I really enjoyed the messaging all around football, and football has really stepped up and condemned this whole thing. Pretty amazing. Of course, FIFA dragged its feet and took an extra 3 days to bar Russia from the World Cup.
I'm not giving anybody any credit, especially FIFA. Okay,
no, not FIFA.
FIFA has human rights violations still happening in Qatar, I believe, as they build stadiums upon dead bodies so that they can host this World Cup in fucking November. The IOC waited 3 days after the Olympics to denounce Russia while they let them play under the ROC title, where they got to let them stand on the podium by themselves or some shit. I don't.
They don't get credit, but anyway,
dude.
I do. The genuine stuff was cool, like Zinchenko crying. You saw in Portugal there was cool stuff. Yeah. Anyway, back to the Carabao Cup. That is our Ukrainian moment of the day. We're thinking about it. It's not important, but Thursday we'll cover it. Go. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because I could take a divergent into the right. But anyway, let's go back to the Kepa sub. Edouard Mendy is the man of the match. Now, if this is a 2-2 game and it's helter-skelter back and forth and there's, maybe some shakiness in the back from Mendy, fine. He's your penalties guy. I get it. It's not a big deal. But he was a brick wall, as he has been for Chelsea most of the season.
Especially the first 10 games. He was carrying them.
Yes. And well, I'd even say throughout, because and he just won a penalty shootout at AFCON. Lest we forget that. 3 weeks ago. And the argument for Kepa is, and there's plenty against it. I'm going to get to that in a second. But the argument for is he was basically humbled. And he had to basically carve out his niche. And in not playing as much as Mendy, he became far more focused on penalties. He was always a good penalty keeper before this, so they say. And he really honed in on, this is going to be my thing. And Tuchel and Mendy and Kepa have had conversations prior to the game. Because I heard this was his reasoning, and it's bad. But he was like, this was sort of the plan. If it goes to penalties, and you don't know because you might have to use all 5 subs, but if you still have one, this is going to be the plan. Okay. Kepa is 5 inches shorter than Edouard Mendy. So as imposing as he may or may not be in the goal frame, he's that much less imposing than Edouard Mendy is.
Yeah.
So, fine. You bring him in. I first guessed the shit out of it. I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Go ahead.
And then with the second, and this is until the very end, this is my favorite part of the match. A lot of times you can, you're dancing around on the line. You're trying to put the shooter off a little bit. He actively stood 3 steps to his right when Virgil van Dijk went up to take a shot.
Oh, this was amazing.
And he went, hey, put it over my left shoulder, my right shoulder. I dare you. And Van Dijk looked at him, looked through him
with disdain,
fired an absolute rocket ship.
That was the best part of the game.
Past his right temple.
It was amazing.
Into the net. And then
turned
around and stared him down for 40 yards all the way back. Virgil van Dijk went, not only do you know who I am, who the fuck are you? It was, again, I do not care for Liverpool. I do not care for Van Dijk.
Yeah, that was the best part.
Shake that man's hand.
So I actually
awesome.
All right, Aveline, I'm doing my podcast. We may have interruptions. I have stats. You ready?
Go for it.
Daddy, I lost my tooth.
Oh, okay. Penalty kicks attempted against Mendy, 28, only 3 saves. Penalty kicks against Kepa, I think it's 12 and 7. So we're talking about sample sizes that are minuscule.
I could buy the Mendy.
Right. He's big and whatever. Now I thought more of this game. I thought the penalties were the sort of icing on the cake. I really loved all the missed chances. I mean, each team had guys just go clean through. I mean, Salah went clean through on a mistake by Mendy. He made a bad clearance. Mason Mount had 2 that he was clean through. I thought Havertz, Pulisic, Mount was a much better front 3 than more fluid than what they've seen with Lukaku all season. I'm not playing Lukaku anymore. Yeah. I want to see what those 3 have. I think the big thing for Chelsea is they're not consistent. Like, just play the 3 guys. Play your 3 Smurfs, give them 5 games, and then change them. Let Lukaku stew and just be like, you're done. And then, of course, the classic was Werner in on goal, passing it away when he didn't have the shot but he does make his penalty, so good for Werner. But I thought it was a really good game.
Everybody made their penalty.
The Mane save, everything. Everybody made their penalty. The other good one that I noticed, and of course I was paying attention to it the whole time. Anything good that Chelsea did came down Trent Alexander-Arnold's side. I don't care what you say, Liverpool fans. The motherfucker, maybe it's the whole defense is so good that he's the weak spot and he's not bad. But the fact is, he gets spun around like a top every other attack down his side, and they continue to defend him because his offense is so good. I know it's good. The ball to Mane was incredible. He's always great with those passes. I'm telling you, some motherfucker, he's going to lose you a game because he's standing straight up and gets spun around because he does all the time. Oh, and there was a penalty. Somebody almost got their balls ripped off by a spike to the balls in the first half. That was not Konate. Who's the other? Keita and Chalobah going for a clear 50-50. On review, it was very red. but I'm glad they didn't, because it would have been a shame if it had been taken off. Had he been sent off, there would have been no complaint. I mean, the guy had stitches in his leg after the game.
Yeah.
And they was really close to his dick. I mean, there was manhood flashed before him. He must have been like, oh my God, I nearly lost a sack on this fucking kick from this tiny African friend of mine. But I thought Chalobah was really good. He fucking put Mane in his pocket. Like, I was talking to my coworker, and I was like, well, imagine if that had been Christensen out there, he would have gotten his fucking lunch eaten. Because, Christensen's not going to get that done. Anyway, super fun game. It had to be Liverpool. It had to be the fucking Scousers and all that's great about football, blah, blah, blah. It drives us both nuts. The idea, they're all singing You Never Walk Alone in solidarity. I'm like, the Chelsea fans were not singing You Never Walk Alone. Fuck off.
Yeah, right. In that theme, look, hey, all the talk is about Kepa and how he, came in, was worthless, missed his.
It was 11 penalties. It was incredible.
Kelleher was, for what he
bad.
was. No, not as bad. I mean, over the course of the game, I thought he was pretty great.
Yeah, he was good.
And then, I mean, of course, he stood up and made his penalty, but to force Kepa to have to miss his. But I don't know if I've ever seen that many consecutive penalties.
It was incredible.
21 consecutive penalties.
I don't know what happened. I think you go around again.
Yeah. That's right.
It just keeps going. So anyway,
I don't know. What I was curious, and I'm glad that
Kepa
he missed it. That was the most perfect ending for me, actually. But what I don't know, and I'm curious, and we almost found out, was if you then have the same order or if you can mix it up again.
I would imagine it's got to be they got to lock it through. You just have to go again.
Why
would you get to reshuffle?
Why not?
That's too much time. What, are you gonna have another? You're gonna have halftime and redo the whole thing?
No, because as I've said many times,
do I get another sub? Can I change the keeper again?
No. What I'm saying is, instead of having, so let's see, Liverpool had Milner, Fabinho, Van Dijk, Trent, and so on and so forth. In that order, they would want Salah to go first. They would want Jota to go next. They would want.
I understood.
So, and again, after not getting a shot in the AFCON final, there was a chance he didn't get to go. I'll never agree with putting your best player last because there's the chance and risk that you're not going to get him to shoot. And even more, when I was watching this penalty shootout, I was doubling down on that theory to my wife, who didn't give a fuck. But actually, she thought it was very compelling. She was like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!" And that's why I married her. It was. I couldn't imagine being a fan of one of those two teams, and my heart would have been in my mouth.
I wouldn't have watched it. I'd have just run away.
The more value is in putting, like, it's a a staring contest. That's all penalties is, right? So if you can make your enemy flinch and then potentially blink, right? If you have your best players go up there and your best players therefore have the most probability of scoring. And by the way, Van Dijk, Trent, and Salah, you could have had 2 goalies in the net, and they weren't going to stop those.
You know what? I thought the only ones that were poor, was Konate, who almost got it saved. But I kept thinking as they all went up, I was like, wow, all these guys are good. Like there's nobody that you felt like was a bum. I
thought Konate would miss. I thought Harvey Elliott would miss. Chalobah, I thought would miss. Dude, Chalobah and Konate were like, uh-oh.
Well, Chalobah's nearly had his dick chopped off, so his leg was definitely hurting. He was not okay. The fact that he was still out there was pretty crazy.
I thought Lukaku would sky it, so that was my first hope.
If Lukaku had missed,
I was like, when Kepa came in, I never in a million years was like, Kepa's gonna get a shot. I was like, I hope Lukaku fucks this up.
Yeah. The other thing that I
kept looked great.
Yeah, it was really, really a fun game. That's what good football's about. And unfortunately, it had to be 2 teams that we hate and 2 teams that narrative dictates that was great. I think the world was rooting against Chelsea, especially the Abramovich stuff that you're going to talk about on Thursday. And then, of course, the game prior was the other controversy of the weekend was City's game versus Everton. And we had a handball basically at the end of the game. It was really a nondescript game. I will give a lot of credit to Everton. They were very good. They played with the crowd. They fought City really hard. City were disjointed because, again, it's a weak link sport and John Stones was playing left back. Mm-hmm. So everything was off. The runs that Walker would do to create space were never there. Everything just didn't work.
Right.
And Everton were in City's face and had the better chances early in the game and could have lost this game. There's no doubt about it. But City get a goal. I was literally in the process of tweeting in like the 88th minute or late in the game. Wow, this is Michael Keane's best game. Lo and behold, he fucks it up because he's terrible. And if I'm sure if I was on Everton boards or Everton board, if you're an Everton fan, let us know how much you hate Michael Keane. Every time I watch him, he fucks something up. He's fucking terrible. So when you have a bad center back, it's awful. It's like he's a shit Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire's shit.
It's weird how parallel. It's said a lot. Like Everton and Spurs supporters have like a kinship, and like because they have the red enemy, they have the Spursiness. Like Everton has that.
Historically, City and Everton also have a kinship. There's when they were both kind of the same level of shit. Although Everton are a much bigger club. To be fair, they've never been relegated, and they are in the relegation zone. Like
they're in the fight.
They are in it, and we're gonna cover that in a minute. But the controversy is. Randomly, late in the game, ball gets kicked downfield, and Richarlison, who has just never stopped running, never stopped going down, got the shit beat out of him by City. He gets on the ball. There's a rebound, and inexplicably, Rodri just plays the ball with his arm. It's just like, what the fuck are you doing? It's not great. It is in a gray zone, I would say. It's about an inch down from a t-shirt sleeve. Is that about right?
It's
a handball.
It's a handball. It's a handball.
Oh, of course it's a handball.
Yeah.
But the call on the field, they go to VAR. On the field, the referees, after they go to VAR, says, oh, no, it was offside. You should have never checked it. But the NBC in the U.S., they drew the lines, but they were not the official lines. They drew their own line. They were like, oh, it was offside. But then the Premier League was like, no, it wasn't offside. That's not handball. Like they had the out. And they're like, no, we couldn't tell. We couldn't tell because it was up high. I'm like, this is about as handball gets. And and you showed me that picture from the Champions League final. They had changed the rules since then.
I know they have.
So yours was still a handball. That was the armpit shot. I'm sure it was dead.
That wasn't.
It was Sissoko.
No, it was Sissoko.
Yeah, of course.
37 seconds into the game.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks. Yeah. That was great. Way to fuck up the game.
Yeah.
Well, at least he wasn't sent off. But anyway, City dodge a bullet. Lampard that gives a classic end of the game interview. He's like, my 3-year-old daughter could see that was a handball. I don't know what's going on. And the CEO of the team is demanding an apology to Everton Football Club, who at this point, you wouldn't think so. They fucking need that point badly.
Yeah, no, it's a big point for them.
And they played well. And I think that the bigger takeaway is, while that might be deflating, they can feel good. They played really well. And if they play like that, they're not going down. I don't think they're going down either.
Somebody is the problem. Okay. And we say, it's foolish of me to try and handicap this race at this point, because it does.
Oh,
change.
who knows? And you're always you're 2 wins away from not going down.
Yeah, well, and Newcastle now 4 out of 5. Wow, I mean they're now safe by virtue of the fact that there are 3 teams between them and the drop zone, right? Mm-hmm. So
they're not
Brentford,
going down now. They're
Leeds,
gone. They're gone.
Brentford and Leeds. I'm scared for you guys. I really am.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only can Burnley catch Everton, Burnley can catch both of them quite easily. Mm-hmm. With 1 win, they have 3 games in hand on Brentford, and they have 3 points to chase. Mm-hmm. And they have the goal difference.
And they have Leicester on Tuesday, tomorrow.
Ooh.
And they're a great team at heading balls, and they're going against what is potentially the weakest defense you could go against. They're going to score. You want to? Let's look at the bet. Go bet on Burnley scoring a headed goal. Book it. Book it.
Yeah.
That is about as money as a goal. Weghorst to score on a header. Just bet it.
Wow.
Or me or Tarkovsky, any of those dudes. They're scoring a headed goal against Leicester. It's just happening. Even if they lose, just go for the headed goal.
Right. Yeah,
you're probably going to set piece. Yeah. So we have Leeds actually setting the record for goals against in a month in the Premier League. They really have been getting the doors blown off them, to the point that they didn't want to sack Bielsa. They gave him every chance not to, and they just get the shit kicked out of them.
It's
so
weird.
They do fire him.
It's weird because Spurs, as we've said many times, are maybe the best counterattacking team in the league. Mm-hmm. But that's, they're the most comfortable when they have an even split of the game, but you're trying to, really get after them and they can hit you on the break. Let's be very clear about something. 9 minutes into this game, Ryan Sessegnon teamed up with Matt Doherty,
one of my sons,
score a goal.
The crisscross across the field, fan-fucking-tastic.
It was great.
It was amazing.
But when he scored, I was like, "Oh, that was Kulusevski," and I was like, "Oh, it's Matt Doherty's first goal for Tottenham. He's been here for 2 years."
That's what you thought you were getting.
No, well, yes, but at the same time, I was like, Leeds, get it together, man! Like, holy shit! And then Kulusevski hits the second one, and you're like, all right, this could get ugly.
Yeah, and it did.
Yeah, because listen, Leeds never blink when they give up a goal. That happens.
Don't care. Yeah,
they're like, whatever, we'll get it back. And the problem is that recently, and they almost pulled it all the way back against United recently, but I don't know. There's just
and
after the second one, you can tell. Look, it's like a boxer. They're like Rocky, right? Mm-hmm. They're really good at taking punches, but after a while, they add up, right? Yeah. And so every time the opposition lands one, every time Clubber Lang catches him with a hook, he stands there, but he wobbles a little bit, and you could feel Ellen Road after the second goal from Kulusevski, who loves a near post shot. I've noticed that. I'm very interesting. I'm big fan of what he possibly could be. He's all potential and no substance yet, but he's been pretty good returns so far. But Leeds, they're like bleeding out slowly, and it's hard to watch. But so now Jesse Marsch comes in, and I'm hopeful. I'm excited.
But I think the key thing was, if you would have told me after that 3-2 in West Ham in mid-January that they were going to go down, which that 3-2 against West Ham was one of the games of the season, the hat trick by Harrison. If you would have told me that they were going to basically not just disappear, like they were going to give up 30 goals in the next 10 games, I mean, it's inconceivable. And the issue is that they would give up goals, but they would always score, right? They'd have the 4-2 against United, but it's 4 against Tottenham, 6 against Liverpool, 3 against Everton without scoring. the issue isn't the defense, which is really bad. The issue is they're not scoring. They needed to keep scoring to even have a chance, and they can't score.
Well, we always said
when
they're
they
a crap
lost
version of 13-14 Liverpool, right? I mean,
right. Except really now they're really bad. Yeah.
Right. But what proves it more than giving up a touchdown to present day Liverpool?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Bielsa goes. I think the thing is that there's clearly a plan in place where Marsch was identified as a coach who fits in with what they want to do with Bielsa. It's not going to be such a big transition. Marsch comes from Red Bull, comes from Rangnick, comes from the German school, the Genging pressing, the Hasenhüttl. It's going to look more like Southampton than what you saw at Bielsa, than Leeds. But what was happening with Bielsa is the man marking just wasn't working, because what you saw from the great pass from the incredible pass from Harry Kane for the last goal, he would just drop deep. The center backs would follow him, and it would happen to every single team. They'd be like, "Oh no, you got to go with him," and then teams would just run through the space, like, there he goes.
Yeah,
what's happening? Yeah. So it would work against shittier teams where they could outscore them, but that 1-0 against Newcastle really put the end to them, and they gave him every chance, and he was just getting dogged. But Bielsa leaves Leeds as a legend. He still is completely loved. They all love him. They all went to Ellen Road to say goodbye. He goes out with his head high, even though he's never won anything. This is where football is more interesting. And I was listening to a podcast today. It's, if it's just about trophies, then support one of the 5 or 6 clubs who win trophies. If it's just about grinding out 1-0 results, then just check the score at the end of the day. But if it's about entertaining, you and I have talked about it. Leeds was must-see TV.
They were great.
Win or lose.
Yeah.
And so we lose that. And
it's why, we're sad to see him go.
We pour a little out for Bielsa.
Yeah. Yeah.
What, did I get that on my dick? I think it did.
There you go. On your stitches.
Yeah,
I just, it reminded me a lot of when Pochettino got fired, because you knew it had to be done. You didn't want it. It was like taking an old dog out back sort of thing. And you're like, no, I just one more day. No, you can't. It's gotta be today.
You probably could have kept him, and in the case of Levy, he knew it was more expensive than.
Wow, that was don't even get me started. But the point is that
it's unfair to Bielsa because they were so hurt. They just Bamford all year, no nothing. They just half their guys were out all year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they've still got, but they had to be a little bit more pragmatic, right? Like at some point.
He was never going to do it.
I know. And this goes against exactly all of his ethos and everything, but like a little bit, right?
Never. So, that's the beauty, right?
So
it's the romanticism. Yeah. It's no. We're going down. We're doing it this way, and we're going down. I think Leeds fans would have gone down with him. They were ready.
They have the second worst goal difference in the league right now.
Yeah,
and
I know.
That is
impressive.
Important. It's impressive, but it's also important for where they are right now. If they were still in 12th, it would be that's hilarious. Poor Bielsa. That's sad. But now that might be the reason they go down. Yeah, not because they haven't lost all these games.
It has happened.
Oh,
they
God,
do not. They are now level with Watford on worst expected goal difference, which is even crazier. Well, they're even worse. So this is the difference, right? They're minus 31, but their expected goal difference is only minus 50.
Yeah, they had.
So they're actually giving up more
against Spurs. Okay, they had 2 goalposts. They had a ball where Loris had misplayed it at like 30 yards away from goal, where he is not good. He's great in the box, but outside he's a mess. He plays it. I forget who it was. Comes in down the left and hesitates. There's no goalkeeper. Ben Davies is no, it wasn't even Ben Davies. One of the center backs is standing in the net, worthless, and Ben Davies comes swooping in like the Flash and blocks the shot. And you're like, what are you guys doing here? Some of us had both teams to score. What the fuck are you doing, Leeds?
Meslier is obviously when you have the worst goal difference like that, the goalkeepers are now the least lucky or least shot stoppy. I don't get the sense that Meslier is that bad. But the shot expected saves are bad for them. They're just playing a lot of bad luck. They're getting no luck in scoring. So, you could make the argument that maybe they should pull the goalkeeper and change him. It's the easiest thing to do. Maybe that would have changed their luck, or they're just giving up really, really awful fucking
the chances they're giving up are
are just like
it's
one-on-one destructive. Now we have 2 games here that were not great to watch, but are interesting for the top 4 race. The 0-0 Watford. It's just laughable that United just can't fucking get past Watford, who are literally the worst defensive team in the league. And then West Ham getting back on track, getting their goal from Souček, scruffy. And again, it can't go past every week. Declan Rice is just a fucking beast.
Yeah.
Like whoever gets him, and I don't know, and I hope it's not Chelsea, and I hope it's Chelsea, because you know what? Tuchel's such an asshole, he'll fuck it up. Because he's like, oh, we have to do something different and make you not do what you like to do. But what I'd really like to see, what I think the world would like to see, is 2 English midfielders together. Him and fucking Conor Gallagher in the midfield for Chelsea. And it would be fucking beefy Englishness with all that flair up front. If they do that, they're fucking geniuses, and maybe the Abramovich thing falls apart, and they both have to come back. Oh my god! Or they'll both. Whoever gets Kelleher, and if someone is smart enough to sign Kelleher and Rice, I'll just be like, I might have to. Gallagher. Sorry, if someone signs Gallagher and Rice together as like Chelsea homeboys, I might have to be like, I might have to use like incognito mode and a VPN and just put on Chelsea shirts on videos and just wear a mustache and just be like, look at me. But I love those 2 guys. The Englishness, it's why we like the Premier League. It's that style.
Both of them. It really does.
Yeah. But Rice willed the team to win. So many good moments. Him and Souček. They had another good sort of another cool moment for Yarmolenko, who actually left and went to the Ukraine and be like, not that he's playing. I mean, David Moyes is like, kind of helps. Just why don't you stay there for a while? I mean, they're giving out AK-47s. You might as well just go.
Have one.
Yeah, have one. Have at it, boyo. So he goes, and that happens. And then let's cover the relegation fight between Newcastle gets their win. We're worried about Brentford, and Dyche gets their draw against Crystal Palace.
And hey, Dyche,
of course, they only take 1 shot versus Crystal Palace, the fuckers.
And Dyche has them 1 point off of Everton. And they've got, if they get another draw and Everton drops out of the game, Everton falls into the relegation zone. Again, I don't think, like you, I don't think that they'll be the 3rd team.
They're too good.
And by the way, Watford still has a shot. I mean, I'm not optimistic.
It's very close. I mean,
it is extremely close.
I mean,
everybody,
Watford I think, are definitely shit. I mean, sorry, Norwich. They don't even have
Norwich. Yeah. And again, it comes back to, I've harped on this pretty much every episode for 2 months, if not 2 years, games in hand. And Watford and Norwich don't really have any aside from on Brentford. So they don't really have any get out of jail free cards, whereas Burnley still has 2. And that's where you look at it. And that's why I think Everton will probably be okay. They'll fall ass backwards into points somewhere. But if you had to pick one, it's like a fuck, marry, kill for relegation, right? Brentford or Leeds, who stays and who goes right now?
I'd rather have Leeds than Brentford.
No. Who do you think? But who do you think stays?
Oh, who do I think?
If Burnley catches,
Burnley's close. Actually, here's what I thought. I think one of the things that's happened with Brentford is the injury to the goalkeeper and no Tony. I think they're getting back Tony. They've got the goalkeeper. He's got to get back into form. I've got to believe that Eriksen connecting in that midfield, even if it's only part-time, with Tony will make a difference. And Tony will find a way, because what was happening to them was their get out of jail was to kick it to Tony, and he'd take the pressure off the defense. Whether he did anything with it, that value of kicking a ball up to a guy who will fight for second balls is invaluable. And they didn't have that, so they couldn't get out, and so the defense was getting exposed. And those breathers that those strikers give you are massive. And that's one of the things that happened with Newcastle as well. Newcastle, all of a sudden, their defense got better because they knew they could just kick it up to Chris Wood, and he'd give them 10 seconds. He'd give them 15 seconds to push up, get organized. Even if there was a second ball that they lost, at least they were reset. And so everything connects, right? Like I know I talk about it, I sound crazy, but it is a weak link sport, and you could defend from the front. Even a hold-up striker who doesn't score goals is actually super fucking valuable if he gives you 10 seconds.
Yeah. So you're picking Brentford to stay. And that makes
I want them to stay. I want them to stay.
I mean,
I want who's in the bottom 3 to go down. That group.
All right. Well, hold on though. And I'm going to sound like a dumb fuck, but isn't Burnley starting to become a little likable? They beat my team last week. Let me be very clear about this.
Of course they're likable, but I don't want them.
Do I have like Burnley? Do I have Burnley Stockholm syndrome? Is this what's going on here?
No, they are likable. I think Weighout and Cornet made them fun. And they're playing better.
Oh, they're playing angry. They're playing.
Well, no, this is what I mean. This is what this is in Dyche we trust. He finds the energy. The team is like, okay, we were fucking around for a half. It's now we're ready. We got the COVID out of the way. Now it's less like Ben Mee and Tarkowski are just like, this is our team. I've been in the Premier League for 9 of the last 10 seasons. If any of you people fuck this up, I will kill you.
I'll kill your families. Yeah, right.
Families. Listen, you fucking Dutch guys. You don't understand. This is life or death. This is my town. I've been here my whole life. For Ben Mee, he was a Manchester City Academy graduate. Do you know how close fucking Burnley is to Manchester? It's literally like Long Island to Manchester. It's up the road. Right? Yeah. There's like 14 teams inside the Manchester City area, and Burnley is one of them. And so Ben Mee does not fuck around. And Tarkowski is, I know he's English, but his name's Tarkowski. That means he's Polish. That means he's tough. His head is gigantic. He petrifies me. I think Burnley stay up as much as I don't want them to. I really want to see Cornet score another goal and connect with Weghorst. That is just my dream, is to see those.
They're fun. I'm enjoying them.
That's really good. Well, we can watch them on Tuesday against Leicester. That actually is going to be good.
It's going to be a good, yeah.
Because Leicester have to start like, if it's funny, I was going to say, they need to channel 13-14 Liverpool. I'm like, they have the coach. Just go. Just stop trying to sit on Leeds. Just attack. Never stop attacking. Win 5-3. Because if you get a 2-goal lead, you're going to give it up because you stink. and I do say that about my guy. I can't remember his fucking name anymore. Who's the goalkeeper I keep killing on their team? Their only goalkeeper.
On Leicester?
Yeah, my brain's melting.
Oh, Schmeichel.
So I'm like, Schneider? Schneiderlin? Yeah. Oh, that's Morgan Schneiderlin. Yeah, I mean, we don't really have much to talk about, but I just remembered we have games on Saturday.
Well, we got the FA Cup too.
We have the FA Cup. That's what I was going to say. What we have for the FA Cup is not much, but we do have the FA Cup itself. So tomorrow, randomly, Burnley and Leicester are playing. Also, Peterborough, I don't know where that is, play Manchester City, along with Crystal Palace playing Stoke City. So some old friends and some new friends. We also have your beloved Tottenham Hotspur playing Middlesbrough.
They got to be careful. Yeah.
I would be worried. This is a good team.
Yeah. And look, let's be clear. I mean, Spurs have, because we have a hot potato race for the top 4 officially now, right? Like United don't want it. West Ham can't figure it out. Arsenal have the inside track, as we were talking about offline, but Spurs are in the race still despite their best efforts. So they don't have it. This isn't the only thing they have to play for, but it is certainly the only chance they have at a trophy. So I think that they'll go full bore. I don't think that that Conte will take this lightly.
No, he won't. He won't. He should go.
Yeah, I just.
It's going to be a good game.
We'll see.
Are you ready for one of these classic? Because the FA Cup is the oldest continuous tournament in world football, started in 1876. You ready? Including replays, Tottenham have never lost to Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. 4 wins, 2 draws. Through those 2 draws, though, those 2 draws came as the away side in February 1905 and January 2020.
You remember.
Yes.
Oh, I actually know. I remember the January 2021. Yeah, that was not good.
I love the February 1905 just getting
1905.
Yeah, they didn't get drawn out of the hat at the same time. The sorting hat of the FA Cup. By the way, for our American friends who are uninitiated, The FA Cup is just the coolest fucking thing. It's so cool that the NBA is trying to do it and they're going to ruin it. But
They
it's
are.
every team in England. 792 teams enter. One man leaves.
Let's talk about that for a second. And I'm not a big basketball fan, but I'm curious your take on this. The Knicks,
yes.
right? If the Knicks are not in the playoff picture and they're in the whatever the fuck FA Cup third round,
it's the Stern Cup.
Sure.
for the dead former commissioner.
Yes, that's actually I would argue that's a pretty appropriate name for the trophy. Because he made the NBA what it is today. Imagine having
the David Stern Cup. Let's call it that.
Sure. Two things. A, do they go harder for this than they do for a potential playoff spot? Okay. And B, if they succeed and they win the Stern Cup, how is that received by players and by fans?
I think it's something that you should do. You make it. You give the team choices for what they get. The players can either get money, extra money, which is probably not that interesting. I think they could get extra ping pong balls for the draft. I like that. Or what else could they get? Money, ping pong balls.
You could fuck around with the playoff structure. You could say, basically, think of it like Europa League.
No, it's got to be separate. It's got to be separate, like not
Why?
part of the league. I don't think you're connected to the league at all.
No. Well, I mean, think about it, right? Like if you win the FA Cup, you automatically get a Europa League spot.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You saying that if you reserve a playoff spot for a team that wins the cup.
Yeah.
But the problem with basketball is there are no upsets. Although if it's a one game, if it's only one game, then you could get a weird team. But they would
here's
just
the
get
thing.
blown out.
Here's
what they could do. Because they now have a play-in, you could get into the play-in.
Right. They have play-ins and shit now?
Yeah, they made a play-in from they have 10 plays 8, 9
I'm
plays.
trying so hard to respect the NBA. I'm really trying, guys. Yeah. And I can't. It's just oh my god.
Anyway, it's fine. It has the same problem the NHL has, which is regular seasons not mattering because they devalued their own product.
To an extent. The NBA is different in the sense that they're like, we don't want to play.
Yeah, that part's bad. Well, but the NBA is a strong link sport, so it's worse, right? There's less team ethos. You know, if the Capitals come out and Ovechkin wants to go suck on Putin's toe, you know, they can still play without Ovechkin and still be the Capitals.
Who, by the way, is catching all types of shit because he's not saying anything. There's no right answer and only a sea of wrong answers because he has family still in Russia.
Well, that's what he should say. He should be like, Ixnay on the talking about family, everything's fine.
Yeah.
If you're okay.
Look, you're being asked to join in the chorus.
Yeah, because people are
renouncing your home
American.
Country.
Yeah.
Renouncing your home country.
Yeah.
And in doing so, endangering the lives of friends and family you have back home.
Because you don't know what kind of mobsters.
Wait, for what? For some fucking retweets?
For some virtue points. No, it's
Jesus.
I think he has said he condemns it, but not directly.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. By the way, Artemi Panarin, one of the also really prominent Russians, he's on the Rangers, is a joke about how he uses a flip phone because he's an enemy of the state back home. All right. Because he openly criticized Putin. Navalny, he's a big supporter of Navalny. And he said as much. Yeah. He was like, fuck Putin. This is my guy. And everybody went, hey, we're going to kill your sister. Like this is.
Hey, the war comes home real fast. Let's go through some more of that fifth round. So, Stoke Palace, your team. Chelsea play Luton Town. I don't know where Luton Town is called, but it sounds interesting. I like the idea. I would think that Chelsea's going to mail this game in, having just played 120 minutes and had their whole fucking team go to war. I would imagine that Luton Town's going to get a nice, easy, breezy game. Probably the toughest and most interesting matchup is Southampton, West Ham, two teams that probably want to try and win this thing and go as far as they can. I like this game. That's on Wednesday. Liverpool, Norwich City. Liverpool will also play the C team against Norwich. No doubt about that. The biggest team in this is Boreham Wood against Everton. Boreham Wood, of non-league, they are the lowest ranked team in the system. They are in the National League North. In fact, when I click on the standings for Boreham Wood in Google, there's no information. That's how low down they are. I can't even find them. They don't even appear. So Boreham Wood, they are still in the league. They're still there. They are, I think, the number one defense in all of England. So they don't give up shit. So that is what good teams do. They fight to the end. They won't give up anything, but they probably don't have the quality. But as long as Michael Keane plays, I worry for Everton. And then, of course, we have the classic Nottingham Forest versus Huddersfield. Both those teams playing well in the championship, both with some decent history. Huddersfield, 1931 and 32, two-time First Division champions. Also the home team of oh, fuck, I can't remember anybody's name. Jean-Luc Picard, the actor, I can't remember his name. And, formerly in the Premier League. But, yeah, that's the FA Cup. Not really a lot to write home about. You'd expect the big boys, City to go through, Chelsea to go through, Liverpool to go through. The same three teams weirdly keep showing up along with your friends in Tottenham. But we'll end up probably with a Chelsea, Liverpool, or a City, Liverpool, especially as long as these matchups keep getting easier and easier. We're getting into the round of 16, and we are there. Mike, anywhere you want to go?
Yeah, I want to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh, yes, of course.
I'm looking at the non-penalty goal scorers in the Premier League this year, okay?
He's not good.
I'm looking at 2 through 9 because I'm struggling with FBref at the moment. Mo Salah, 15. Diego Jota, 12. Sadio Mane, 11. By the way, Liverpool score a lot of goals because you hadn't noticed.
It really fucking
Sonny with 10. Emile Smith-Rowe at 9. And then you've got tied with Rowe, Emmanuel Dennis, Jamie Vardy, who's been out since the
War of 1812.
Since the last war, right? And Bruno Fernandes, all at 9. And Bruno gets a fair amount of penalty goals, so fine. Then with 8, your boy Jared Bowen, Mikel Antonio, Raheem Sterling, and Conor Gallagher. Who did I not just say?
Cristiano
Ronaldo.
He's on 9.
On 7 non-penalty goals.
Oh, non-penalty, yes.
Yep. He's not in the top 15?
No.
What is that? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. He's 13. He's tied for 13th in non-penalty goals. What is in the water on that side of Manchester? It just, look, is it catching up with him? Is it just because they have all the attacking talent in the world, right? And he's always the man demanding the ball in the box.
I think that he has missed a couple. I think that he is 37 years old. And to use the greatest of all sports cliches, what is it, Mike? Father Time is undefeated. And, between he and Zlatan, we know he's taking care of his body. Yes, he's still great, but he's not great enough to be the every game striker for Manchester United. He has had moments. He had good goals early in the season, especially when, they thought they were going to change the world with him, and he got on some balls, and he has won them some games, especially here and there. It's not that he's not great, but when you look at all the players born in the Premier League and you sort by year born, there's guys before you get to the year Cristiano was born, which is 1985. There's 514 players ahead of him.
Right.
Right? There's only 10 players older than him. Fernandinho.
And it should be said, for what they actually ended up paying, I guess the fee for, not the salary.
Not much.
7 goals isn't that bad of a return, especially given the points that he's given them. Right?
I do think though that his mobility and lack of his lack of mobility, pace, and power anymore. I still think he's lethal. Like if he was playing the way Danny Ings plays, that would be fine. Or if he was playing for City, it would be fine. They'd have to change the way they play. But the fact that that Manchester United have so many young players who can run and still play up the middle and attack, he limits their options. He limits the way they play. They can't be as flexible. They can't play Rashford, Alanga, and Sancho. I mean, that would be a good grouping, despite the fact that Rashford might be a mess because he got hurt and is out of form. But, they did move on from Martial. I think you loved Martial 2 years ago when he scored 20 goals in that first Ole season when it was like, oh, happy days are here again. And I think that they never really intended to sign Ronaldo. We talked about this early in the year. They got duped. He has a good agent. He created a fucking market when there wasn't one. Somehow tricked Manchester United into thinking City was going to sign him. Whether they were or not, they should have let City sign him. It wouldn't have made a difference because City would have figured out, oh, we can't play the way we like to. This sucks.
Right.
And when has City ever signed a 37-year-old? Never.
It's interesting to look at his stats because if you go just straight down the goals line, he's got, in his last few years in Juventus, 20, his first year he had 21, 31, 29. Hold on, though. In 2019-20 at age 34, he had 12 penalty goals.
Yeah.
He went 12 for 13 from the spot. So he had 19 goals, which, let's be very clear, from open play is a fantastic return. And then without looking, I'm sure that's very close to the top of the league. Juve won Serie A for the second consecutive year. But then they started to fall off, and his production wasn't the thing that fell off, but the team around him was starting to fall apart, and Juve now is a disaster, right? And so I wonder, and I don't watch Serie A much at all, nearly enough to say, but did we know that this is who he was before he signed for United?
Talk to Juve people, yes, they
knew. That's kind of what I think, because I remember seeing. What was the really dramatic Champions League game with him a few years ago? I forget. I think it was
where he
Atletico.
Got the hat trick and they lost anyway.
They lost Atletico, right?
Yeah.
Well,
here's the difference, right? Are you ready? From 2016 on, this is shots per 90, 5.7, 6.9, 5.7, 6, 5.2. Then he's down to 3.5 shots per game. He needs to be shooting more to score all those goals. He's a Kobe Bryant type. He's volume. He's got to be shooting.
Yeah.
And he's not taking those shots because he's not getting the space. And United don't possess the ball. When have you seen a line splitting ball come from central midfield like a Toni Kroos might do, like a Luka Modric might do, like a Kevin De Bruyne might do, a ball coming from deep, going into Ronaldo when he's on the move? It simply doesn't happen because it doesn't happen at United because they don't have the players to do it. It's got to go to Fernandes first. Fernandes got to survey, and by then, whatever advantage that Cristiano has had is already lost because he's too slow. I made that up, but it sounded good.
I don't know that he's too slow, but it makes sense.
He's definitely not as fast as he used to be.
No, of course not. He's too slow for 25-year-old Ronaldo standards, right? Of course.
I mean, 25. I mean, Real Madrid Ronaldo was,
he had 40 goals when he was 25. By the way, he had 46 in his age 26 season.
We're not going to see these numbers ever again.
No.
And Messi broke sport.
I don't mean to say that I expected him to be the best player in the league. That's not what I'm saying. But what I did expect was
20.
For him, I didn't expect 3 Liverpool players to be the top 3 in non-penalty goals, right? And goals effectively from open play. And I just, and frankly, I'm surprised Kane isn't closer to the top. I'm surprised Vardy, although
you did spend 10, 15 games with the least.
Yeah, no, I know.
Worst coach in the league.
What I'm saying is when you look at the chart and you go, Jared Bowen is ahead of Cristiano Ronaldo and Harry Kane.
He's one of my sons. But it goes back to it. Both those teams, Jared Bowen plays on a team with what? A really good central midfielder who breaks the lines and gets him the ball out wide when he's on the move. What does Harry Kane not have? Someone in central midfield who breaks the lines and gets him out on the move. He has to literally come get the ball, turn around, hit it to someone, and then run into the box and have it come back to him. He has to be the 9 and the 10.
I lied. He probably has a great therapist.
Yeah. So if Ronaldo had Trent Alexander-Arnold fucking pinging wings from 3/4 inside the half, just going, pew, those
Right.
nuclear bombs he drops. They're so incredible. I fucking hate him for it.
Yeah.
Or someone like Cancelo just weaving things in, getting to the byline, and him just standing there. Like, if you don't think Ronaldo could do the fucking the Raheem Sterling role where he stands in the back corner and just puts his foot down on the ground, a ball hits off of it,
Right.
and he scores 20 goals. Actually, that's unfair to Raheem. He does a lot of other stuff. Anyway, we're getting near time.
Let's
Mike,
get out
send
of
me
here.
home. Yeah, that was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. We are the football wing of the Chop Sports Network, and we record on Tuesdays and Fridays, and we made it to March. I can't believe it. So be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're listening on Apple, please write and review the show, especially when they're longer than a minute long, and we will make sure that doesn't happen again.